And these are a collection of poems for the storytellers who live inside all of us. Sort of have this ongoing poetry project where I'm working with that exploration of the intersection between sacred and secular, gravity and grace, and sort of the felt and the seen worlds. And just the way our life experiences awaken sort of new depths of understanding in all of us. So I have sort of a compilation of, I guess you could call them vignettes or sketches, organized into a story arc. So having there be some sequential order that's journeying through the experience of self as witness. So sort of like in our day-to-day, just that observational experience and the way that creates the space for us to sort of sidle up closer to ourselves. And in the words of Mary Oliver, just allow ourselves to let the soft animals of our bodies love what they love. So the first poem is called Sacred Silence. In a world where midday bolocos get robbed and bullies steal green-billed milk money, married men in suits ask for business cards at bars, iridescent pink plastic Jesuses sit on black dashboards in cars, and Lady Madonnas inlaid with rhinestones suddenly become reverent. It's bread and cheese for breakfast on a Friday morning at 11, while overcast skies make room for rain, and city steam rises up over backdrops of buildings as the black and white billboard teeth and lips of Keira Knightley rest against a pink glass bottle of Chanel perfume. The white cable repair van is passing through the yellow-lit crosswalk, tires tipping into edges of sidewalk puddles, and we continue on. We drink tea, we brush our teeth, we take well-worn steps over gum-impacted concrete, go to CVS and buy toilet paper and trash bags, and forget matches to light candles that want to illuminate March evenings. Like dancers dancing, we continue on. We find comfort in casual interactions with the people who pour our morning's iced coffee into clear plastic cups, and who know us only by face and by order. And so the second poem is called The Dogwood Tree. It was the dogwood tree standing there in the garden on an April Wednesday. I think that was her name. Circling her circumference, petals thin and white, glowing wide open like a flowering canopy umbrella, held at the tips by her small veined branches. She was resting comfortably, unafraid of the whispering breeze, swirling her small sundries down into a fallen patch of angel wings. A few of us penitent, taking smartphone pictures, perhaps in our sidestepping, all longing to capture the same thing, her way of being, unafraid to lose any of her pieces, to feel no less for how the wind had changed her. There was no Latinate name along her trunk, just the silent braille message of a raised bark torso. If only the same application existed for trees, the one where one can discover a song's name by recording its rhythm. Before I left, I stood beneath her rib cage, her outlines mapping a tree branch sky, a million little confetti flowers at my feet. Okay, so the next poem is called Bless Me. Was it just to get me to say bless me 2 times out loud? The linger and hover and then the release, the sneeze. Bouquet of red wine roses in my nose on a Friday night, while gold napkins spread over quiet laps, and my roaming mind landed eyes up and out the left city window as clouds blew by, light reflecting through redemptive edges, refuge existing in the one shining steadfast star. Covered, and then visible again. An April wind that was still too cold without knowing it, lavender-longing nail polish starting to chip at the edges, and to the right, fields of lavender hanging on the wall, enclosed behind framed glass. I prayed, alongside the taste of tenderloin demi-glaze, a fullness in my body that seemed more like desperation or saturation than the satiation of a hunger being fed, starved for something to show up, some magical being, place, or thing to give hope a destination. Cracked gray-white brick edges of the roof corner visible straight ahead, a curiosity that made me wonder about traveling west. The wild woman in my insides desirous to know, and I pictured her there buoyant and happy. The same way instinct guides the movement of the desert, sun landing on her bare feet, arms spreading into an expanse of endless blue that is willing to love anything above or below, like 4 p.m. white terracotta with its fired body still porous. I held the words close, butterflies for my fingertips, moving inside their own secret glass jar. And to the artists, dreamers, and ingenues. And then hope leaped up into my heart and echoed down the ivory arching curvature of my ribs. 4 small letters, like an ink map tethered softly to the bone. You know the ones born from the flesh of star stuff and giving rise to the constellations that birthed our bodies, charted our destinies. Fingerprints like quiet, steady footprints tracking steadily along, showing the way. I was sort of afraid she wasn't seeing all of me, the way we are so many mercurial pieces all of the time, all at once. The artists, the dreamers, the glint in our eye schemers, the men and women with ink-stained left pinkies to match a wild forest of hibernating dreams. The ingenues, the rebels, with things to say and meaningful existence to do. And all the while, a casual observance living inside our jungle place, concrete city space. And I wonder sometimes if the gypsy nomads in all of us would feel completely free or still somewhat fettered if brought to live in some untethered bohemian country allowed to roam. Maybe it is the subtle boundary of our being, that existence of other physical counterparts who root us down to the plush earth, let us know where we are in space, who can make somewhere, anywhere feel like home. That I am because you are way Desmond Tutu notes as the feeling of Ubuntu. And meanwhile, we continue to sojourn through the inner and outer worlds, up, over, around, and through. Relief like a waterfall cleansing our insides when things shift, making room again for new things, good things, and old earthen things to break through. Like those glimmers of the teenage parts of us that still believe in love and safety and small sleepy towns, the innocence of ourselves, the way it rests in the quiet spaces, like the old town paces of suburban green tree-lined streets. This next poem is called Couples, sort of moving from the self to interacting with those around us and those relationships. So stepping outside, I was met by a neighbor, distracted, funny how I wondered who I was to him. He sank down into the navy blue cushion in the way that couples grow comfortable sitting on couches. His loafers, my braids, his blue and white checked collared shirt, my tattoo, track shorts, and bare feet. Shapes of puzzle pieces wondering if they could ever fit together. His wayfarers with those dark lenses, making me wonder if anyone's ways could someday be the intimately nomadic of another's monogamous own. Moving in a week, he said, New York City, that same big apple that swallowed a former ex whole. A protective mind perhaps more distrustful of a city's gamins than its gutter snipes. And a pleading heart begs for frost to have meant miles to go before one sleeps to someday be the divergent and yet still presently parallel paths of committed partners, now separated but traveling at similar speeds. Hope, then, for Herculean hearts. Okay. So this last poem is called We Are One. Still sort of a working title, but that's the title as of now. I dreamt that we were boundaried enough, that we didn't spill ourselves so far over, suffocate each other's sense of purpose, passion, and peace, that we remained open enough for our hearts to be reached, felt the shared beauty of vulnerability in both its pleasure and its pain, that we communicated with truthful lips, releasing words carried on breath, supported by our soul, so that we knew authenticity and could have conversations that felt complete, share our heartaches and our highest aims in order to remember we are not alone. That sensation is part of what saves us. I dreamt that we allowed our hearts to spill over enough in order to learn how to hold that transformative water with the cup of our own two palms. Heaven-sent hands facing skyward, used to unearth ourselves from separation, isolation, subordination. I dreamt that we too, like Cambodians, didn't have a single word to try to encompass that landscape, but rather said of sadness like they do, the water on my heart has fallen, so that people knew how to catch it, stand beside each other shoulder to shoulder as we each and together rose back up. Let Rumi's gradually growing wholeness become our own, flowing like the illumination of vibrant green ground cover, arching and reaching and sprawling, unafraid to hug the dirt earth and to let it embrace us back. I dreamt that we allowed the world to see us in all of our painted colors, that loneliness was an old friend, small letters, one word, passing feelings, reminding us everything inside was working correctly. It was the dawn breaking us open every day, showing us again and again, by moving down through our cells and reaching up through our souls, that our cells deserved care. I dreamt that just through listening, understanding became freedom. The act of creation held the holiness of catharsis, and surrender opened up the space for us to apprentice the lilacs. Their unapologetic, vibrant tang of purple illuminating our own irises. We awoke into the river, casting its reflection up onto the tree's leaves, the whispering reverberation of the current reminding us that letting go isn't the same as giving up. It became all over again, catching back up with our own slow-moving, still-paced momentum. And that's it. Thank you.